Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. We really appreciate your time and presence. My name is Eric Calderon. I go by he, him, his pronouns. I am the Assistant Director here at the Center for Social Innovation here at UCR, and I'm really excited to unveil this upcoming program called the Intercollegiate Council of California. So again, thank you so much for coming. We're going to just go through a quick run through of the agenda today. We're going to begin by some quick introductions, followed by a quick info about our center and our work and what we're really passionate about. We're going to be talking about the challenges and the opportunities at hand, along with a call to action in terms of how you yourself can get involved. Finally, we'll be closing off with a panel discussion from a few student leaders out here in the Inland Empire. And finally, we'll close and discuss next steps. Again, we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate that you're here today. And we're just excited to get the program started. So without being said, we're going to get started. So today you can participate. So of course, given that this is a Zoom webinar, you can submit questions using the Q&A box function. You can also utilize the chat function in case you want to share your thoughts. Of course, we want to try to have as interactive as possible. So please do not hesitate to use either of these two functions, especially if you want to get any clarity or you just want to share your enthusiasm towards this project. We also want you to follow along by using the hashtag Intercollegiate CA, Intercollegiate California. So please tweet at us at CSI UCR. And then, of course, once this is over, we will be uploading this recording both on our YouTube page. It will also be available on our website at socialinnovation.ucr.edu. Before we officially get started, we want to have a land acknowledgement. This is something that many folks at UCR begin their events with. So we can't get this started without truly acknowledging our history. So we at UCR would like to respectfully acknowledge and recognize our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water, and air. The Cahuilla, Tongva, Luiseño, and Serrano peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, this meeting place is home to many indigenous peoples from all over the world, including UCR faculty, students, and staff, and folks from all over the Inland Empire. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these homelands. If you would like to learn more, please do not hesitate to visit native-land.ca. With that being said, I would like to introduce our founding director, Dr. Karthik Ramakrishnan. Hey, Karthik.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, everyone. Really excited that you all can join us here for what is the inauguration of an idea and an effort that we think has tremendous potential, not only for the Inland Empire, but for other parts of the state and even in the country. I don't want to steal any of Eric's thunder in terms of what this new idea and project that we're incubating here. But more generally, this is in line with what CSI has been doing in its 3+ years of existence. We see ourselves as a catalyst for systems change, upholding core values of resilience, inclusion, sustainability, and equity. All of the work that we've done is in partnership with community and working with partners in government agencies, philanthropy, and the nonprofit sector more generally to realize the region's potential in terms of civic engagement, inclusive economic development, and more. Next slide. The framework that we've developed over the years is something that you'll see today, which is quite simply DNA, data, narrative, and action. We do a lot of research. We work with various partners to figure out what kinds of research topics take priority and what are the kinds of findings that we should be highlighting. But it doesn't just stop with research. When we find particular storylines in the research, we make sure that we work with our community partners so that narrative is more widely known. And then finally, we need to make sure that our data and our narrative are combined with the strategic action. And you'll see pieces of that today. When Eric presents to you this idea that we're incubating here and inaugurating with our student leader partners, it is based on data and research that we've seen on civic engagement, as well as on other issues over the years. We've also had the good fortune of working with community-based organizations throughout the region that are focused not only on education equity, but also on health equity and ensuring that lower income folks and communities of color have greater voice and say in the future of our region. So I'll leave it at that and turn it over back to Eric to take it away.
Thank you so much, Karthik. Well, with that being said, we're going to begin by truly introducing this new concept, this new program that we are excited to launch, especially with this upcoming academic year. So we really need to begin by talking about how we got here today. And it's the fact that we are trying to build on the momentum that's been boiling up over these past few years. And one thing that we have seen is that research is showing that there's an increasing amount of turnout and an increasing amount of interest in civic engagement. These past few elections, you've seen that students and young people are all really interested in coming out and being more involved. They want to come out and increase those voting numbers. They want to make sure that they have a seat at the table. We also can't, begin this without truly acknowledging the work of the existing partners, including folks like Growing Inland Achievement, including folks in the statewide, such as College Futures, and even folks in our own backyard in the Inland Empire. We also want to talk about post-COVID transformations. This past year, we have endured so much, especially our students having to deal with working from home, not being able to have that traditional classroom setting. And many folks have suffered from this, and many students are truly challenged with continuing to work in this environment. Right now is the perfect time that we begin to try to introduce new policies and new practices. This is a transformational moment in time. It's one that's been leading up to, and I can't stress enough that the pandemic has really welcomed the opportunity for us to think critically in terms of our current systems and how we can update them and how we can improve them. And of course, how can we continue to invest in our communities and really welcome new voices and really try to tap into the power of our students and our youth and many others across the community. So again, we want to just begin by thanking all who have contributed to this moment and for our future and the partners that will be striding with us along. So thank you. We want to begin by also talking about the Inland Empire. The Inland Empire is 4.6 million residents, quite larger than some states, and it's even geographically sparse, which also is quite larger than some states. And one great thing about the IE is that's quite diverse. It's a 70% BIPOC community. It's largely a community of color. And what we've seen in recent years is that there's been significant growth. There's been growth led from, our coastal neighbors pushing folks out, being priced out, people coming out here trying to find a new opportunity, a new life, trying to start their families, folks opening businesses and the like. So what we really want to talk about is the fact that the IE continues to grow. It's seen a lot of growth in previous years, but there's still plenty of plans to be executed, and there's still plenty of time for us to continue to shape and shift the region to truly benefit our people and of course our students and our young people. The other critical component when I'm talking about young people is that it is among the youngest regions across the nation. The Inland Empire, in fact, has such strong talent and has the next generation that can be the leaders of tomorrow. And we really want to try to tap into that and the idea that these folks have tons to say and they have a lot of shared lived experiences that can better inform our policies and our decisions. Another thing that we're seeing in the Inland Empire is that although there is perhaps a lower amount of turnout when it comes to people that are contacting or visiting their public officials, one interesting fact that there's actually quite a lot of people, and I was actually surprised when this research first came out during our State of Civic Engagement report, is that among folks 18 to 34, you see about 20% have considered running for office. And it's even equal to some of our neighbors in LA and Orange. And even you see some of even our BIPOC community that's really interested in being civically engaged. So the time is now to really try to harness this power and making sure that we are paving roads that give them that avenue to express themselves and be representatives for their community. Another thing that we're seeing is that across the board throughout California and other regions, we're seeing an uptake in voter participation and turnout. So that's another critical component. If we look at the Inland Empire in particular, ages 18 to 24, look at those numbers, even 25 to 34, even amongst our Latinx community. We are seeing great strides, and we are seeing a great amount of interest in terms of making sure that our folks are coming out here and they're voting and they really want to be involved with these decision-making processes. And just to really talk about the Inland Empire as a whole, across the board, all across the region, whether it was from the midterm elections or whether it was through the actual presidential elections, we're seeing that folks are coming out in numbers. And all across the region, no matter what corner you're from, there is an uptake in voter participation. And that's something that we want to be conscious of, and that's something that we really want to try to tap into. This is a new generation coming up, and they are really, really ignited, and they are really interested in coming out and being involved with our policies. Finally, one other thing I want to note is that we are pushing out, we every single year, we are welcoming tons of bachelor's and professional degree students that come out to this region and are ready to join the workforce. They're encouraged and they're motivated and they're ready to land that next gig and to begin their lives. So that's another critical component about the Inland Empire. It's the fact that we are rich in higher education institutions, both public with notable institutions such as UCR, Cal State San Bernardino, and even if we extend to Cal Poly Pomona, along with even our private institutions, including the Claremont Colleges and La Sierra, Loma Linda, Redlands, CBU, and even with our rich community colleges who are truly doing the groundwork in terms of welcoming folks back, folks such as myself who took some time off and are ready to come back to school, folks that want to retrain themselves and retool themselves for the next generation of work. We really have a strong foundation here to unify all these different colleges and universities and the students within them to try to tap in to that breadth of knowledge and the amount of lived experience that can, again, better inform our policies. So with that being said, I want to talk about the challenges that we're facing. And one of the challenges is that, all these students that are graduating sometimes don't feel like the region can meet their hopes, dreams, and career aspirations. And of course, we see an increased need for student voice regarding the region's future, ensuring that, we can, again, continue to implement policies that welcome them and make them believe that this is their home for the long term. And one thing that we're truly trying to combat is the idea that many people that we have welcomed from other regions, people that were born and raised here, that took so much time and energy to graduate from the region, only for us to lose some of that power to other regions, including the Bay Area, some of our southern coastal neighbors, or even out of state. So that's another critical component that we're trying to really take a deep look at and find ways to elevate them and really make them believe that, this is their home. And even if they do take off, how can we foster a community where they can go out and explore, but believe that they can come back home and settle here and bring with them the knowledge and everything that they've learned. So a few questions that will really help us with our journey ahead in terms of our challenges is, how can we retain the Inland Empire's talent, and not only retain it, but also those that did stay here, how can we continue to offer them strong opportunities? Those that are gonna, really minimize their commute, really help them breathe the right amount, the healthy, good air that we all deserve. And what steps can we take to redesign our systems? And that includes housing and transportation, including our workforce boards, to work for the next generation of professionals. We need their input. We need them to help us out in terms of what is the best way to design a system that, welcomes more folks to come back and be ready for that next generation of work. And finally, how do we make students stronger partners in the transformative work of inclusion, equity, and excellence? And, one group that's often left out in some of these planning calls is just the young folks in general and students. Again, those that are soon going to be entering that workforce. Today we're seeing that more and more folks are graduating just to move back to their homes. It's unaffordable. Folks might not have as many opportunities. Now it's a lot more competitive and challenging to find something good. So these are all questions that we're asking in order to help us pave the road ahead and really inform the work. So with that being said, what we're trying to cook up is a place-based mechanism to really try to help us realize the region's potential and really have our students and our young folks be at the center when it comes to creating these decisions. So one idea that we have, of course, which is the Intercollegiate Council of California, is to build on existing statewide infrastructure. And I'm really grateful for again, our existing partners and the existing infrastructure that's out there, including the Student Center for California Community College and their wonderful regional system that's already implemented. Here in the Inland Empire, we are grateful to be part of Region 9, where we already unify the region's colleges and universities. But how can we take this a step above, and how can we incorporate other institutions, and how can we strongly focus on regional issues and advocate across these different systems? So again, we really want to give a lot of credit to our existing partners, including the Student Senate for California Community Colleges, the California State Student Association, and the Associated Students of of the University of California. All of these play a critical role in their campuses. All of them provide an opportunity for students to advocate, especially on a statewide level. And I've been so fortunate to be part of two of these in my time. So how can we continue to bridge the gap between these three? And we understand there's already existing partnerships, but we really want to have a strong spotlight in the region and where these schools are placed, and how can we bundle them up and making sure that all of them are communicating and talking with one another, and making sure that we're again really focusing on what are the regional issues. So I really want to take it some time, because leading into this work and kind of reflecting on my own journey, it really helps inform me in terms of how someone else might have something very similar, or just talk about the importance of student leadership and the role that we can play in terms of really balancing and planning things out. So for me, right after high school, I did attend a Cal State. Only to find out that I simply wasn't ready. After about a year or so, I ended up dropping out. I was working at the same time. I was first generation from immigrant parents. I honestly wasn't prepared. And when I talked to many of my friends, even those that I went to high school with, they had that very similar experience, where some folks right out of high school, they joined the university just to feel a little bit lost and out of place, and ultimately just drop out to enter the workforce. So just like many others that I do know, that was my same experience. I simply thought college wasn't for me. Up until I got a wonderful opportunity to work at Pasadena City College. And there's where I really appreciated and began to understand the importance of coming back to school and finding a way to reach out and help out other people's to do that same journey. So there, I worked in student services. I helped out a lot of our non-credit students, including folks trying to take English second language classes, people trying to get their high school diplomas, folks trying to get their GEDs, along with those college students that are out there right out of high school, or they're doing concurrent enrollment, or let's say a recent veteran, or let's say a student parent. All these folks I was working with and really trying to help them go through this journey. And sometimes it's a little bit daunting to try to navigate through something such as a portal. So I was really happy to help people and really welcome them and really guide them through this process, one that was really hard for me to go through. Another thing I did is I went to East Los Angeles College, and there's where I had my opportunity to re-engage in student leadership, and I was part of their Associated Student Union. And through that, I was even able to be a part of their Los Angeles Community College District campaign, where we even went up to Sacramento and lobbied on quite a few things, including at this time was AB 705, and we're really trying to take down that system where folks are just getting stuck in those lower division classes and not being able to advance, taking multiple years there. So I'm happy that 2 years later, 2 to 3 years later, we're seeing tons of progress there. And then I'm just really beneficial that I was able to get accepted to a UC, and UC Riverside has been my home since, and I haven't looked back, and I really, really appreciate it. And when I joined UCR, that's where I was able to continue to advocate on transfer non-traditional issues, and ultimately got elected as the transfer non-traditional student director, where again, I was really just trying to have a strong voice and really advocate for folks, including our veterans, including our student parents, including our transfer students who are oftentimes left with a little bit of time to get in and get out and get acclimated. So this work I am very passionate about. I am very interested in. I've made so many connections and I've learned so much. So all I really want to do is pass the baton. How can I go and try to share some of this institutional knowledge that I built up, and how can we continue to build these relationships with one another? With that, I want to share our shared vision. So through this program, we really envision a region that, activates the civic power of college youth and recent alumni of the IE, including those who have found opportunities elsewhere. And we can't forget, some people left, some people were pushed out, some people had to take off, but we don't want to close the door on them. We still want to give them the opportunity to better inform our policies and decisions. So hopefully that they can return one day. So ultimately want to provide inclusive, sustainable, and equitable opportunities in leadership development, workforce development, and even economic development for the region. So I'll quickly share the project summary. The Intercollegiate Council of California is essentially a region-wide effort, so from all the different borders, to unify the student leaders and recent alumni of the IE's colleges and universities by establishing a robust network that meets regularly. And when I mean robust, we really want to try to tap into all those different colleges and universities that I shared earlier. And we want to really convene them to discuss common challenges, share resources, collaborate on solutions, create task force, actively engage with stakeholders and decision makers to advance an agenda of innovation, inclusion, and equity. But also, creating programs, creating events, finding networking opportunities, and many other things. And I will speak for myself here that there are so many schools that are doing wonderful things out there. And I will speak from my own experience. When I was at the community college, we were trying to kick off our own pantry, which we were totally lost and didn't know about anything about how to start a pantry. And sure enough, when we attended one of these district-wide meetings, one of our sister campuses had just started it, and they were able to essentially send us their entire proposal, their entire template. And sure enough, we were able to use that and create our own pantry that still exists today. So again, it's work like this, it's discussions and connections like this that really elevate one another and really have a firmer understanding in terms of what's out there and how we can uplift one another. When we're asking about why college students, and it's quite simple. When we talk about shifts in our system, it does require many different stakeholders, and I'm proud that our center has already been working and networking with many different nonprofits, many different government officials, and many other partners across the region and the state. But one group that we need to continue to engage with are our young folks and our college students. So they do stand to lose or gain the most. We need to understand that whatever decisions that are made today will impact them the most, especially because they will be here the longest. We also need to understand that this is amongst the most energetic and forward-looking civic leaders. And we can help realize and move towards achieving the region's fullest potential. And we understand that they also vote with their feet. They're really energetic. They're go-getters. They're ready to get out there. And, again, I've been super happy to be hand in hand with many of my partners and many of my colleagues and my student friends and my brothers and sisters and all these other people that I've worked with in the past, and I'm really happy to call family. So we really understand that our college students and our young people are the future, and we need to do as much as we can to engage them. Examples of campaigns that we're going to try to be looking into is, of course, combating food insecurity, looking at affordable public transportation, talking about workforce boards and how they can better suit us, tackling issues such as housing, which is, oh my goodness, so hard to find for many of us, college and career services, mental health support, and of course, civic engagement, voting, and volunteerism. So these are just a few of the campaigns, and I'm just really happy that a lot of our campuses are already working on this. But how can we cross collaborate? How can we share with one another just to share best practices? Some qualifications that we're kind of looking into. This is really for our college students that are out there that are still in school. about asking them to be a senator for this program. We want you to still have a year left in your academic term. We want you to, be a sophomore or junior. We want you to try to commit to meeting regularly, attend meetings and engagements, and of course, be in good academic standing. And in terms of, compensation, we're currently exploring, different grant opportunities, but also even seeing that, some schools themselves can help support them through these student funds that they have available. And in general, we see that this would be very beneficial for many. We're going to be trying to amp up and ramp up the next generation of leaders. So through this, there's going to be a lot of technical assistance. There's going to be a lot of capacity building. So we hope that anyone that does get involved with this will learn a lot of leadership experience and training. They will be rewarded with a certification. They will get letter support and recommendations. They will get pathways to apprenticeships, and of course, college credit if available at their college or university. Just a quick few milestones. This milestone actually began before this past few months. I've been so happy to meet with a bunch of different partners, and everyone I've been networking and meeting with is very excited, and they also understand and see the importance of this amount of work. So, today is our kickoff. This is our public announcement. Again, we've been working behind the scenes these past few months, and I've been so happy to connect again and really engage in the student leadership work. I've been missing it this past year when I graduated this past June. So I'm just really excited to, again, re-engage and try to share as much as that I've learned. During the summer, we're going to continue to plan and recruit. We're going to continue to see these different schools and how they're doing, especially with schools back in session, primarily in August. We're going to have a back to school summit in the fall, along with the inaugural cohort finally beginning in the fall once all the quarters and semesters have begun. And by spring 22, we're going to have an end of year summit, awards, recognition, and of course, try to formalize this and really just try to find ways to copy and paste this and really grow this amount of work to other regions, because we understand that the Inland Empire isn't alone here. There are many, many other institutions and many other regions that can have the same thing. So some progress so far. I just want to share that I've been meeting diligently with different partners, including, Chaffey College and College of the Desert, San Bernardino, many of our partners, including some of our other educational partners who, again, are already so strong and they're already in this space, including College Futures Foundation, Campaign for College Opportunity, California Endowment, our friend Joseph Williams. And then we need to understand that this is our ask for you to get involved as well. So in terms of future outreach, we're going to continue to engage and network with our existing partners, including folks like Blue and Cope and Iman and Big Brothers Big Sisters, Autism Society, Clay Counseling. These are just a few of the folks that are based in the Inland Empire, but we need to understand that there's a great network out there, an existing infrastructure that we're going to try to tap into. And we're simply asking you if you can come out and join us and help lend a hand for our students in terms of building up their capacity, so that when they're out there advocating, they're well informed and they're well aware in terms of how it looks to properly advocate. So when we talk about what does success look like, we really want to look at these different metrics. So our outcomes include, an increase in civic participation, civic leadership, increase in workforce participation, placement and environment, of course, increase in educational levels and completion, workforce skills and training, and of course, an increase in wealth and independence. So these are some of the few metrics that we're going to be looking at as we progress forward in the coming years in terms of how we're succeeding. And again, we're going to continue to recruit, especially with these upcoming fall. Once everyone is back in session, we're going to be seeking senators from all these different schools, working with the student bodies, since they are the anchor organization that can really help us get out the word. It can really help connect us with the students. We're going to be working directly with them, and they can help us make sure that there is a strong relationship between this and their school and their student body, and that we can disseminate this information down to the student population. And again, I can't stress enough that we can't do this alone. We are seeking partners to share their expertise. We need assistance with understanding this landscape. And of course, we need opportunities to continue to grow skills. So we're asking for assistance. Many of our partners that we've connected with in the past, we will re-engage in them. And of course, we're going to have that door open for anyone else that wants to share and try to connect with these students. There's tons of them, and they're all excited to really learn more in terms of what's out there in our region and how we can all help. And finally, we're going to try to expand this across California after this first pilot year. So, after this 1 year example, we're going to be, targeting different issues, including folks like the Central Coast or the Central Valley, San Diego, Northern California, the Bay, LA. There's similar issues across California. The Inland Empire is not alone here. There's many other issues that have that same amount of perhaps brain drain, or they have that same issue in terms of folks in the region not truly benefiting from all the opportunities that can be made available to them. And of course, we want to continue to build the gap, bridge that gap between students and alumni. So again, we're excited, and we understand that it made the most sense to kick it off here, but the whole entire state of California is something that we're going to be looking into. So with that concludes my presentation. I would love to welcome now our panelists. So to speak more on their experiences and to really help echo the importance and need of this kind of work, we're going to be welcoming a few voices from the Inland Empire. So I will ask our panelists now to please turn on their cameras. So I'll begin with Janelle Basa. So Janelle is the incoming president for Mount San Jacinto College, their Student Government Association, also known as SGA. We also have Gerardo Chavez, who is the current 2020 to 2021 Region 9 Director for the Student Center for Community College, along with the incoming 2021-2022 SSCCC president. So congrats, Gerardo, on your continuation and being our statewide leader. So thank you so much. We're really excited for there. And of course, we also have John Dover, Assistant Director of Local Relations for the Associated Students of UCR, ASUCR, which I was formerly a part of, and their External Affairs Office. And I just want to state that our External Affairs Office at UCR is so strong, and I'm really excited that they're going to be partners here and that they can really help lend a hand to some of our other colleges and universities. So hello and welcome, panel. Awesome. So can we begin just by each of you please introducing yourself? What's your name? What are you studying? Where do you call home? And just talk about maybe a little bit about your college and how things are going there, especially with this past year. Maybe we can begin with Janelle.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janelle Basa, and I am the incoming SJ president of MSJC. I'm heading into my second year at MSJC, majoring in pre-nursing and currently living in Murrieta. And about MSJC, MSJC is a community college, and we have 3 campuses, one in Menifee, one in San Jacinto, and one that just opened in Temecula. So in the next incoming year, we are actually having both in-person, hybrid, and online classes. So it's going to be open a little bit, but not all the way open. And we're hoping to open soon in the spring. And yeah.
Thank you, Janelle, and again, congrats. And then I'd like to pivot over to Gerardo.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Gerardo Chavez. I'm a student at Riverside City College, which is part of the Riverside City College district. Our sister campuses are Moreno Valley College and Norco College. And we're very fortunate that we are opening during the fall. I believe that we're going to be opening in 80% capacity. So I'm very excited to be actually going back to campus. And thank you.
Thank you. And finally, John.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Dover. I'm going into my 4th year as a History, Law, and Society major over at UCR. Just a little bit about UCR. I'm sure everyone knows it's part of the University of California system. It's boasts being the most diverse UC in the system, as well as has been ranked the #1 university for social mobility for the last 2 years. And for the fall, we are returning, so super excited to be back.
Thank you, John. And, of course, we couldn't have one of our good partners at Cal State San Bernardino join us today, but we are also really thankful for their partnership in this work. just to follow up with each of you, can you please tell us about your journey in terms of, what led you to pursue student government and just general leadership? Was there this certain experience or issue, or was there someone that kind of helped you push you over that edge to finally run for office, or just to come out and do that speech that you have to do in front of the council or whomever? Really, can you share about your journey in terms of how you got to where you are today? And then perhaps we can start with John.
There we go. Sorry, Zoom. So my journey starts back in high school, actually. That's when the first time I really got to be introduced to local politics. And ever since then, it really has been a love affair. And it's been something I've just really enjoyed doing, because especially it seems like something that not a lot of people realize just how much local politics really affects your life. So that's definitely where I started. But a lot of people have helped me on the way, and I'm super grateful to UCR, especially the ASUCR external office. I think there's a lot of amazing people in there who are doing a lot of amazing work. So that's how I got to where I am right now.
Thank you, John. And yes, it's very important, and I'm happy that you're able to really kind of kick things off with your high school, and of course carry that over as you started at UCR. How about you, Gerardo?
So I've been in the California community college system since I graduated high school in 2016. And, I was very involved in high school, but I decided to take a break from getting involved and, try to figure out myself, figure out my interest. And I didn't get involved until 2019 when there were elections going on at my college, and then I decided to go for secretary, not knowing what it was. All I knew that I was going to take notes during a meeting, perhaps take attendance, and collect whatever the president wanted me to. So little did I know that I was going to be stepping into something bigger than myself. The president told me, "Hey, can you go to this meeting for Region 9 of SSCCC?" And I'm like, "Sure, I guess I'll go." And I walk in thinking that it was just going to be a shared governance committee meeting. It was not. It was definitely not that. And we were looking for a delegate. What it's called is someone who will be representing the college on the state level. And I became that representative. And then I became a regional affairs director. So I oversee, the advocacy for all the 12 community colleges within the San Bernardino Riverside County. And that's how I started to get more involved into advocacy and taking a step out of step, climbing the ranks a little bit. And then that's where I decided to run for president of the Student Senate for California Community Colleges, because I realized that my experience as a Latinx immigrant student is not so different from my peers. And I realized that if I did not step up to the role, no one was going to do it. So I decided to do it, and that's how I became involved. I didn't necessarily come into this organization thinking, hey, I'm going to become president. It was just, whatever opportunity was in front of me, and I just took it. And I don't regret it at all. From the moment that I stepped into student government in 2019 till now, I become a different person, become more outgoing, and just more sensitive to students' issues. Once I hear, hey, from a student, hey, I'm experiencing homelessness, I'm experiencing food insecurity. It is because of my time in student government that I'm able to point them to the resources and actually understand, the systematic barriers that our students are facing. It's not just because they're hungry and can't look for food. It's because of the systematic barriers that our students are facing. And essentially, the institutional racism that we still see till this day.
No, absolutely true, Gerardo. And then I think like many of us, we have very similar paths, including myself, where you kind of just walk into a meeting, not even necessarily knowing what's going on. And you walk out like, oh, snap, this is happening. Like there's this whole network that many people are not aware of. And it's crazy how you can just walk in and just walk out stunned and floored in terms of, wow, this is a really great opportunity. And I'm really happy that, you yourself were able to really take advantage and take it up to the next level. And then I'd love to pivot to you, Janelle, in terms of, what led you to, finally become what's now going to be the president.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. So I started doing leadership in high school, I'm assuming like everyone else. And I did Senate and only for 1 year, I was shy and reserved. So it wasn't really my pace at the time. But I also appealed to my academic side by doing AVID, which is just help tutor and guide students for college. And so I saw growth in myself as a leader in my senior year of joining Link Crew program, which guides incoming freshmen. It was quite refreshing as I learned that anyone can actually offer their gifts, experiences, and knowledge to the table, regardless of where they came from in life. And if you're outspoken or reserved, like myself, it was something I appreciated upon graduating from high school. And it piqued my interest to become more involved at MSJC than I was in high school. So last year, I joined the first year experience program, the honors program, and SGA, where I was the former commissioner of college activities. And let me tell you, just like Eric Geraldo said, it's a whole different experience being my first time overlooking committee meetings, voting on agenda items, and meeting people with the same motivation as you. Even though not every event turned out the way it hoped, which may I add is humbling at times, it also helped me build up my confidence to believe in my own potential by looking forward from poor or unexpected results. And on top of everything, the support of our advisors and SJ members definitely pushed me to the next step as being the next SJ president. So without them, I don't know where I would be. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, there is an existing infrastructure that I really want to hone in on the fact that, there is tons of institutional knowledge that's always passed down, especially from our advisors. And, I give a lot of love to all the advisors out there that, really help us get up to speed in terms of what's out there and, really help. And then, of course, those that just finished their term that come back and really help, the next generation of leaders really take on that role and understand the landscape. So thank you, Janelle. For my next question, I'd really love to learn more in terms of, your recent experiences and, if you can talk a little bit about, what have you been working on your campuses? Are there any like accomplishments or initiatives, or have there any campaigns that you've been involved with or that you've led? Is there anything notable that you'd like to share with us in terms of what's going on in these different schools or what's going on with SSCCC Gerardo and, really try to elevate that and help the audience understand what's going on our campuses. So I'd love to go with Gerardo just to kick things off, just to change it up a little.
Well, like I tell my colleagues in the Region 9 team, well, just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean that our work stops. If anything, we have more work to do to elevate the concerns of students. So within Region 9, we were very fortunate to hold our own town hall, something that was postponed at the beginning of the pandemic because of the uncertainty that we were facing. But this year we were very fortunate to have amazing legislators like Assemblymember Jose Medina and State Senator Connie Leyva, figures who really have a lot of influence over higher education and policy. So we were very fortunate to have them on board, and we talked about equity, and we talked about financial aid and what is it that the legislature can do for students. We were able to bridge that connection between the legislators and our students within the Empire. And we were very fortunate to also participate in the Proposition 16 campaign. Even though Proposition 16 did not pass, we were able to bring more awareness about affirmative action and the impact that it could have in the Empire. We look at our communities and we see the lack of affirmative action and how our students necessarily, they need it. They need affirmative action. So we were able to mobilize a lot of our colleges. We work with our colleges to pass a resolution to support Proposition 16. I believe we have 6 to 7 of our colleges, and within the SSCCC on the state level, we were able to participate in phone banking and just bringing more awareness on racial equity. And most importantly, we were able to overall just advocate for students. One that I'm very proud of is that we were able to continue advocating for AB 705, which will allow for students to directly head into transfer level work rather than taking all those remedial courses that don't necessarily, improve academics for students. We were also able to advocate for AB 367, bringing more awareness on menstrual equity on our campuses, especially since now campuses are going to be opening. Students are going to spend more time on campus. Therefore, they should have more resources and accessibility to menstrual products. So I'm very proud of the work that we've been doing within Region 9, but also within the SSCCC.
Well, thank you so much for that, Gerardo. And yes, all those campaigns are really noteworthy, especially got to give a lot of appreciation to the statewide organizing that's been going on and how that has then transformed into a lot of grassroots activation. So, thank you for your work, Gerardo. I'd love to pivot to John, if you'd like to share anything about, what's been going on with the External Affairs Office with UCR, which again, I got to give a lot of props to in terms of how involved they are in terms of their advocacy.
All right, thank you so much, Eric. So we do quite a lot, so I hope I can capture a good chunk of it. So the main work, the bulk of the work that my division does is we help direct and we focus on building bonds between the city of Riverside and the university itself, just really to strengthen a relationship, which I feel in recent years definitely has been lacking. So we've also had the privilege of working with SSCCC recently. So thank you and shout out to Gerardo for his amazing partnership in the previous couple of months. But these are definitely partnerships which are in their infancy and definitely need to develop, and we're definitely looking forward to this. So recently, my office has also been helping try to aid students navigating the pandemic. Just recently, this looked like an event that was put on by my office in order to unite local and university leaders to really communicate a lot of the changes as well as resources that are available to students at the UCs. Just so that the diverse set of problems that students are facing can be met in a holistic and diverse manner. So we've also been working a lot with civic engagement events. This is everything down to debates between city council candidates, which we just had, which was very amazing to have, as well as 2 events with the mayor of Riverside, who is a UC Riverside graduate, so go Highlanders. But it's events like this that really give students a feel for local government and get them engaged, because they really can be the foundation for this local and state relations. Beyond this, we've also have a very, very strong lobby core over at UCR. So we are very active lobbying state senators as well as national senators in a diverse set of issues. We attended the student lobby conference this year, which gave it the opportunity for a lot of students to meet with state senators to lobby on a quite diverse set of issues, everything from the Greek Act, which aims to give a more transparent view into Greek life so that students can see stuff such as sexual assault charges or stuff like that, really to give a feel and more transparency for Greek life. And then beyond that, we've also worked with the Menstrual Equity Act, the one that Gerardo was talking about. So it's amazing, again, cool partnerships. And then beyond that, we are also very proud just recently because we've done so much work to double the Pell Grant, which has been a really big campaign for the external office this last couple of years. So this is really just to adjust the Pell Grant from what it's been previously, which was maybe sufficient, I don't know, 50 years ago, but now it's incredibly lacking. So we're just trying to adjust that, given that a lot of things have changed, especially in terms of inflation, where the needs of students based on the Pell Grant hasn't been adjusted in any way, shape, or form really to meet the diverse problems that students are facing, especially with rising housing and the incredible shoot up in the cost of higher education. And this is really close to my heart because we had to meet with a lot of members of Congress to see this happen, but it was just introduced into Congress, a bill to do this just like 3 days ago. So that's really exciting to see. So thank you to everyone who we saw to make that happen.
Well, thank you, John, and I can't really stop without thanking External Affairs Office at UCR because they're really the ones that helped me build up my expertise and even at the community college level. But I know at our Highlanders are really out there and they have really strong lobby core and advocacy. So thanks, John, for being a part of that. And I'd like to pivot to you as well, Janelle, in terms of how have things been, and have there been any certain initiatives or accomplishments that you've witnessed in your past year?
Yeah, so it's my first year in SGA last year, it was interesting how we were able to push through despite of COVID and just being completely online. So SGA was able to implement a land acknowledgement pledge within our meetings, which was a great accomplishment, I believe. And we were able to host Eagle Talks, which invited a guest or a teacher to speak on a topic. An intriguing topic that I found were the differences between healthcare and medical school in the US versus in Mexico. A little insight on that, in the US, it's uncommon to find a strong patient to doctor relationship rather than in Mexico. Many doctors learn to nurture a respectful and close relationship with their parents. And I just found that really interesting since it's really difficult to get into medical school and getting into those prereqs. So it's a completely different experience compared to Mexico. I just found that quite interesting. And as college commissioner of college activities, had the opportunity to work and hear from campus clubs to collaborate and bring a sense of community despite of COVID and being completely online. A few events like a Super Smash gaming tourney in April, SJ hosted alongside with the gaming club. This event was open to any participants and streamed on Twitch for anyone to view. So something fun and lighthearted during these uncertain times, really. And another one was a study session called Cram with SGA, featuring the Learning Center, was held every Wednesday for students who needed a designated time to get class or assignment help from tutors, which was quite appreciated, that one for me, just to keep myself on track. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you, thank you. And one thing that really speaks to me here is how resilient our students are. I mean, again, they've been enduring so much, and I got like 12 weeks of the whole COVID pandemic, school from home, and I wasn't the biggest. It wasn't my best time with my in the classroom, but there's been folks that continue to be in this environment and still thrive and still be resilient. So again, thank you to all our students that are really pushing through it, especially during this difficult time. And again, I really want to give a lot of shout out to the student governments, because they are the anchor organizations. They are the ones that have the connections with the greater population, the student clubs, and a lot of times they're the ones that are trying to offer that support when it comes to their academics, but also with their mental and health and their well-being. So thank you. And these are all things that I've seen and I continue to see across many different campuses. So shout out. I just want to, I know we're almost at about time. So I want to quickly try to combine the last two questions I had for us before we have any other questions that are from the Q&A box. But you thinking about your local issue, where all y'all from the IE, and all of you play a significant role in terms of our backyard. What role do you think college students and even recent alumni pose in terms of shaping the future, in terms of playing a larger role there? Are there any kind of issues that you think the region should really focus on that would really benefit our students, and especially with this purpose in terms of creating a safer space, creating a stronger sense of belonging? And then finally, my last question would be like, hey, how can we ask for community partners to help us out? So one, what do you think about the pressing issues for us in the region? What role do our college students play? And finally, how can we seek help from our partners? So I'm not sure if anyone wants to take it first, but those are just like those three topics. So.
Oh, go for it, John. Go for it.
It was like a tie. Cool.
Okay. I'll let you go next, John. Well, for the California Community College system, one thing that I do see is just how are we engaging students in decision making? We have shared governance, but even then, we see how just certain circumstances prohibit students from actually engaging in college governance. And I believe one of the solutions that we should be looking at is compensating students for their time whenever they go to their shared governance, system participatory governance. Within the SSCCC, that's something that we implemented. We're leading by example that for students who are sitting in this system participatory governance, we're going to provide compensation because Sometimes it's not the students don't want to participate, it's because they have a job. They have families, they have their family to support. We need to look at the population for our California community college students. Not everyone is, in their 20s. We have from, early teens to, 30s, 40s, seniors. And that is how we engage students. We allow for them to receive compensation. We are closing equity gaps. We are decreasing low income inequities. And that's something that whenever stakeholders are trying to address, that's something that we need to also take in consideration. Essentially put your money where your mouth is. If you want student participation, we do need to invest financially. We need to be kind in that aspect, and that's the only way that we can engage our students. There's so many circumstances that students are facing that prohibits them from engaging, and we need to be sensitive to those needs.
Absolutely, Gerardo. And then I myself can speak on the amount of involvements that I've, taken up in my past years have definitely led to some hungry nights, and you're still passionate about the work, but, we need to find ways to resource our students to make sure that they can actually be, fed and, live and, take on all the challenges that they're facing both, at home and then just in general. So thank you. Can I pivot to you, John?
Yeah, of course. I will say it, and I know it is so cliche, but I think the students who are in college right now truly are the future. And I think that empowering this next generation and knowing that their voice matters and their voice can make a difference down from their community, up to the federal level. I think respecting that voice as a valuable one and really taking advantage of the resources that are already put into this group of people, and also putting in more really just to make sure that a diverse set of students really can make their voices heard. So I'm always happy to echo what Gerardo says, but I think it really is a complex issue, because when you have students who are working extra jobs, really don't have the luxury of taking the time to attend these meetings, to go here, to take trips to Sacramento. And I think by empowering even low income students to take advantage of these opportunities, just by knowing that they can still pay the bills, I think that's incredibly important. I think when we're looking at students, it's very important to understand what students really are. And I think in a lot of ways, we're seeds of our community. And I think we represent a lot. And I think when we're coming from places, these are often places that don't have a voice themselves, underprivileged, underrepresented communities. And once we get to this point, we are now the spokespeople for these groups who are historically marginalized. And I think embracing that role and our role as the now taking the torch from the people who preceded us, I think that all comes down to what we're all doing right now. And I think it's just something that needs to be respected and understood, really just its place in the new evolving world that we're in. So I think that's really where we are, and where we need to go is just investing in this next generation of leaders who really will be taking the torch from everyone who preceded us.
Absolutely, John. And, their voice is critically important. And, we really need to bridge that gap, especially from our policy and decision makers that might not necessarily understand the struggles of today and what it means. I mean, many folks that were brought up in previous years and previous decades are not facing the same challenges that we are today, especially in terms of affordability, and so especially in terms of the competitiveness and everything else that brings with living in 2021 as someone that's young or someone that's trying to uplift themselves and take on a new opportunity. Love to close off with you, Janelle.
Thank you, Eric. And I'll take a different approach than what Gerardo and John have been saying. But I believe a pressing issue that I've seen is how a lot of students believe there's only one way to go to college or to make a living. And it's a thing that I struggled with, especially the stigma of going to community college, where people who don't try so hard in high school end up going there. But in fact, it's more of having an open mind into the issue and kind of breaking down that stigma in a way, and how a lot of students can't afford going to a 4-year. And that's something that I personally struggled in and was trying to seek out through scholarships. But, it's not enough coming you know, from, I believe from like a very mid to low class income, it's definitely difficult to attain your dreams if it's something that is financially um, financially given in that sense. And so I believe that kind of having like an open mind into community college and going there and having a chance to decide your options, having different avenues to look from. And that I always thought that going to 4 year was the way to go and just to be successful, to go to medical school and so on. But you know, it's a thing where a lot of resources are kind of skewed towards that route and not a lot are for or towards community college in what I've seen when graduating from high school. And so I believe that definitely pointing those resources to um, definitely financially sustain those who want to go to community colleges is a great way to go. And especially those who are middle class, who can afford a stable living but can't afford their education, is definitely something that needs to be in focus.
Without a doubt, I mean, this is something that many folks are still struggling with. It's just the fact that, you want to try to, come out and get an education and try to, build up your skills, but ultimately it comes down to, how unaffordable it is and how difficult it is to juggle, even if you do get some support, trying to juggle that with really just trying to stay above water. It's really, really difficult. And again, it's a different time that we're living in today, and we need folks to come back to school. We need this next set and this next generation of leaders, next generation of folks that are going to take on tomorrow's jobs. And we can't do that if the current system doesn't allow us to go out there and thrive and retool ourselves and really kind of just grow. So thank you to all three of you. I'm really looking forward to continue to be in community with you. We really want to appreciate you for coming out today. And again, we're just really excited for the roadmap ahead. And, we'll definitely be hearing more from each and every single one of you, along with your partners, and even way more beyond those that we have here today. So thank you for your time. Awesome. Well, folks, that concludes our program. But before we officially leave, I just want to talk about some next steps. I know we had a question in terms of how you can get involved. Right after this, we're going to be continuing to network and outreach, and we're really trying to identify strong partners that can come out and help support our work, that can help really leverage the resources and assets along with the breadth of knowledge that you have. So after this, I'm going to be doing tons and tons of outreach. I've started with really trying to get a firm understanding in terms of the landscape and interest from students. And it's evident that everyone is really interested in this kind of work and really uplifting the voices and really having a stronger, unified region. So after this, we would really seek your partnership, would really be interested in talking, set up meetings, especially as we gear up for our fall official launch. And then beyond that, please stay in tune. We'll be sending out an email to everyone, sharing this recording along with the presentation and the proposal. And again, just really excited to be in community with you all. So if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Again, Eric Calderon is my name, Assistant Director here at the Center for Social Innovation, and you can reach out to me at eric.calderon@ucr.edu. With that being said, thank you everyone for coming out today. Hope you all have a wonderful evening.